So this video is on the topic of akasthesia, neurasthenia dysphoria. Um, the current medical models aren't really demonstrating a full understanding of this. They try to relate it to neuropsychological or neurophysiological responses, so maybe we could look at it like a neuromodulatory signaling mechanism, which is partial, but it's not the full story. I've been trying to figure this out for years. It's like we get this when opiate withdrawals get this, people who are depressed, anxious get this. If the sensation builds up to a high enough level, the sensation is enough to get someone to commit suicide. Personally, I've experienced this years ago. I remember jumping off of a balcony, and the reason I did it was because of months of struggle, and it seemed like there was no way out of this struggle except to take opiates. What is it? So I took opiates, it seemed to work, and then the next day it would be a struggle. And I just related the sensation to opiate withdrawal, but it's more than this. It's also something that I had before I ever started taking opiates. This is just some subjective accounts, science in a second. So as I jump off the balcony, I remember just the whole body is rough feeling. It's like, oh God, it's fucking terrible. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It's one of the worst sensations I've ever had to go through. It can happen in the legs, and you feel like you have to move the legs, restless leg syndrome. It can happen in the neck, and you just feel like you can't get comfortable. But if it happens in too many places in the body, you start feeling like you just lost all control of your body. Not so much that you feel like you have to do anything, but I feel like in the long run, the mind starts seeing options. Is suicide an option? Well, I don't know what else to do, kind of a thing. And I mean, no one wants to commit suicide, so that's what it seems like this comes from. I've been studying fascia, myofascial release, somatic release therapies for trauma, stuff like this, and it's almost like somebody can traumatize you. You can get scared, suppressed over and over and over, and as you get suppressed, you'll have these segments. So let's say we got one from like right here down to here, and it's like a fascia line, and this will fold and shut, and it will pull your face into a more position. And you can see this in people when they get mad, when they get scared. We soup up to each other to try to stand taller, but there's a part of the body that isn't the nervous system or neuromuscular system that's doing this. So the theory, the hypothesis is neurasthenia and akasthesia are coming from fascia contraction, and the body is trying to signal you to get out of the fascia contraction. A way to test for this is to learn myofascial release, learn the way that the segments of the spine and the body are feeling the sensations. If you feel it in your leg, you can go through and release the segment. So normal trigger point therapy don't show the segments, but if you do a segment, it's like you put hands on both sides. So we release the vertical fold. Now, we can only see skin, right? It's like, oh, is it wrinkled skin? It's like, what the skin literally does is it folds. So it's kind of like we see abs, right? But if you look at right here, I have this defining line, and it's from suppressing my diaphragm for years. So we come up and stretch, you even see the indentation, only this is not just skin, this is not just muscle, this is fascia as well. See how you can come in and grab it, scrub it. This is a horizontal fold, we have the vertical folds. If you release the vertical fold, the spine can extend and flex. You have to do it front side, back side, side side. And you have to release the horizontal fold. So the horizontal fold will let you stand taller, like, oh, and then the vertical folds will help you extend or flex. So we got standing upright, flexion, and extension. Now, when we see the restless leg syndrome, people want to move. They feel like they have to move. Only the problem, it seems that the more you move, the more it's like, oh, I'm carrying around these sensations. There's nothing I can do. Oh, it's getting worse. Okay, lay down, no, stand up. Lay down, no, stand up. Lay down, no, stand up. And this is a terrible cycle to get stuck in. The myofascial release can work wonders. If you can't get the myofascial release yourself, go to a practitioner, have them teach you how to do it. You need to make sure you clear the fascia off of the area so that the spine can sit normally. Once it sits normally, intense relaxation follows. It's almost like the need for drugs, the need for neuromodulatory experiences is lessened. Again, there is no model in medicine that's explaining it this way. We're looking at it, we're trying to tie it to Parkinson's, to drug use, to mental illness, to all this stuff, but really we don't think about the largest system in the human body, which is the fascia network, and it's our interface with the world. And so if we get scared, it contracts. If we try to do better for the world, to try to suppress ourselves to be there for the world, which everyone's going to experience a little bit of suppression, but we see some people go through a lot more. Oh, my teeth are bad, so I'm never going to smile, or oh, I'm ugly, so I never show my face. But the problem isn't that we need to sit with those statements of like, oh, I'm ugly, because we're not ugly, whatever the fuck that is. There's always someone out there to resonate with. The point is, though, if you're closed off here and the speech is that you're ugly, every time your spine tries to, like a radio receiver antenna, tries to come up here to meet people for that interaction, the spine is like, oh, nope, and it pulls down. So instead of, oh, let's register up here, where is everybody, what's happening? It's kind of like this, oh, I got something, oh, I got something to say, no. And then so you learn over time, well, I guess people just don't like me because, I don't know, I just don't matter. Or I'm ugly, or I'm shamed, or I said something mean to somebody, or, and then it gets worse, You look back at the time, maybe you stole money from your kid's piggy bank, I don't know what the issue was, whatever it is, the spine has gotten this way because you knew that you did something wrong, you suppressed yourself to try to hide it. Some of these things are small, they're important, but when it comes to suicide, or when it comes to somebody's well-being and not even be able to live a life because of this, if you stole a candy bar or something, fix your fascia, learn to regulate, use cognitive behavioral therapy to get social support, but this fascia thing has to be done if you are experiencing these symptoms. If you're an opiate addict, you understand what I'm talking about. These sensations are ridiculous. Tardive akasthesia, neurasthenia. Look at all the causes of neurasthenia. Parkinson's. My brain tries to relate this to other things like dopamine. It seems like dopamine can stop us from the sensations, which is why I think drugs work for a while, which is why drugs don't seem to take care of the problem or give you the actual solution, which is why when you run out of drugs, the mind is like, what do I do? And doctors don't know what to do either, so when you get to the hospital, they kind of look at you like, well, we can't really do this for you, we're trying. And what the nurses should know, or somebody, is to be able to go in and check your fascia network. Is the spine leaning this way, that way, and is it unable to extend or reach up or move down? And how is this clogging your emotional expression or your social integration? If the spine is all messed up through the shoulders, the neck, the head, the jaw, you trying to talk to people will be like, it's like, hey, you got something to say over there? Yeah. And we see people like this, but it's like, why you're allowed to talk? And when we tell people you're allowed to talk, do they just take it and run with it? Not always. Because if you're trying to tell them verbally to change their mind about a sensation that is actually being caused by physical matter or by materials and tissues, the tissues have to be released. Somehow this information needs to make it to the mainstream medical. Yeah, so akasthesia, fascia, myofascial release. Now, if you just do myofascial release and you don't feel for where the spine has to move, and you just try to do it, you might even still see that a little bit of release in that area causes that sensation to die out. Whereas other things you try won't give you that relief. It's like you'll try moving and laying next to heat and laying next to cold and taking showers and sex, masturbation. We'll try drinking. All these things will give you a very short solution, but it's almost like you were sitting there in a solution where the problem was still there. The fascia release has to happen so that you can move through life.